Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I am so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very special show coming right up, and our special guest today is Whitney Reynolds. Now, most of you know Whitney. She's the show host of the PBS Emmy-nominated show, The Whitney-Reynolds-Show. And she's also a very dear friend of mine. And I cannot wait for her to share with us her very special announcement. Now, most of you know Whitney. She's got a news background and a passion for people, and she's combined this to create a show that changes the world of talk TV. She produces a program that's dedicated to tough topics, inspiring viewers, and provoking positive change. So let's welcome to the show, Whitney Reynolds.
Hello, how are ya?
Oh, it's always so good to spend time with you. My goodness, once you said you had something special to share, I was like, oh, we have to talk.
Well, you've been with me for so long now, and so many different, and I always say this to people that have watched our shows, success and journey, is there have been very big high mountaintop moments, and there have been valley moments of like regrouping, but overall the journey has been so fabulous. So I'm so excited to get to share with you and your listeners today this big news.
Oh, well, before we go there, I'd love for you to share a little bit for our listeners that might be new to your show, just what your show is all about. Because, I know you. I've known you guys for a while, and I would consider myself part of your online tribe. I love seeing everything that gets posted, especially when we talk about your beautiful kids and just the great things. That's like icing on the cake. And then we get all the great messages that you're bringing. It's like, wow, it's so empowering. But why don't you share for our listeners what your show's all about?
Yeah, so the Whitney Reynolds Show is truly on a mission to provoke positive change through tough topics. And something that's interesting about this that has kind of evolved over, I would say, the last, probably after becoming a mom, I had a couple of these aha moments. But little girl Whitney, I was 8 years old, always dreamed of being in TV. But it was my childhood experience and the journey that my family went through that really I had this yearning to want to tell delicate stories and make sure that we tell them right. And that's really how my adult mission was formed with this show, is the combination of a dream, which was being on TV, and then telling these delicate issues like my family's and making sure we tell them right. We always give our viewers a lot of hope. We don't tell them how to fix their issues, though. That's one thing you're not going to see on the show. We always have experts weigh in on the topic, but we want our viewers to know that they're not alone and that we all go through these things in life, because life is crazy. You know it, I know it, and especially becoming a mom, there's craziness that happens every day, but just realizing that you have a community out there that you can live and go through these things with is so important.
I agree with you 100%. I've been watching your show, for quite some time. And what's fabulous is, people don't have to be right in your area to be able to see what's going on with your show. We can catch it on a couple of different other either stations or online after the show's aired a few times, which is perfect, which I absolutely love. So we don't get to miss out. We're still part of that community.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting thing how the show has evolved, because we started as an online talk show. It was called 2007. The recession hit. I was in TV. The job that I wanted did not exist at the time. And so I started this online talk show, and it built momentum. And so it's crazy to think that we started online, and now we're in all these different markets. And now we also have reinvested a lot of our effort back into online. It cracks me up, because originally, we were online, and then we're like, okay, we finally landed on TV, but it's so important in this digital day and age to stay up to date online. And we want our viewers to know that they can go to whitneyreynolds.com every Friday and check out the new show. It has to hit our markets first, so we want you to watch TV, of course, but it's one of those things that online, we want to make sure we reach the millions that are out there looking for that hope.
Well, you definitely give a lot of love to the people online, so if they're not in the area, they can, of course, check out your Emmy-nominated show, The Whitney-Reynolds Show. So you have a big announcement, and I cannot wait to hear about what it is. You've got all these great things going on.
Well, it's interesting because I've always joked that we're like the little engine that could. And the little engine, sometimes people will say, not right now, but we know how the book ends. The little engine kept going. And for us, it's really been a market approach for the Whitney Reynolds Show. We do not have just some big syndication deal that's ready to get us in everyone's market. It is literally me meeting with all these stations saying, hey, we want to be in your market. And so we have some really exciting news. We've had such a great home base in Chicagoland. Like, first of all, Lakeshore PBS, I couldn't ask for a better home station. We're number 3 in the reach, which is huge for me, especially coming from a town of I can't even tell you, like one stoplight town. So to be in Chicago and to have my show be home based here is just such an amazing feeling. But we want to make sure that we're reaching more people. And with that, we want to be in everyone's home eventually. That's the long-term goal. It's no secret. I hope every PBS station that's listening to this today knows that I'm probably going to shake your hand, program director, and say why you need the Whitney Reynolds Show in your market. But earlier this summer, I had the opportunity to drive to Peoria and tell them about the Whitney Reynolds Show and what we could do with their viewers in the market and bring our hope and inspiration to them. And so coming this fall, the Whitney Reynolds Show is officially in 3 markets. I feel like we should have like the applause button, the claps, all that kind of stuff, because I am just over the moon excited. And I feel like that's even an understatement because I am just so pumped to be in Peoria. And so now the Whitney Reynolds Show will be in Chicago, the Quad Cities, and Peoria. And so we are just so excited for this new market and to just share our stories and upcoming topics with everyone.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations. I mean, that is such a huge feat, and most people don't understand all the work that goes behind that. And yeah, I mean, you're doing a lot of footwork by going out there and connecting with these station managers and telling them, hey, you need to be carrying the show. I mean, your show is amazing. I absolutely love it. I think it should be on every PBS station.
I personally agree. Yeah, it's one of those things that when we meet with the markets, it's always nerve-wracking because it is such a personal thing, because these stories that we're sharing, like Finding Forgiveness, which is our season opener this fall, is one that walks you through how forgiveness changes your life. And we have a guy that both of his parents were murdered, and he knew when he was driving to the crime scene that he needed to forgive them. And he walks us through that journey on the show. And I'm telling you, if you watch my show and you don't have chills, you're like, you might need to go to the doctor because something might be wrong, because these shows are really like real life stories that are really creating change.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I couldn't even imagine someone having those thoughts right after hearing that. But what a perfect example for how important forgiveness is and how we all should be finding forgiveness.
Well, that's what kind of happens. I don't want to give too much away from the show, but that's what you find out through the different people we have on that day, is that it turns out that forgiveness has a lot to do with us and then how we can live more freely when we do it in our own lives. Like I said, we never try to say this is one way, and we're always going to give you 2 sides to everything. That's just journalism 101. We don't want to say this is the way it is. We want to lead you with these stories of like, okay, this helped this person, but then on the other side, this helped this person. And so we lead our season with Finding Forgiveness, and just being in these 3 markets and knowing that we have their viewers on TV to watch is just one of those feelings of knowing that we're helping more people. And of course, you can always watch it online that week, but to sit at home, I have one of those fancy remotes where you just can say my name right in it, Whitney Reynolds, and it hits record, it goes right to it. And it's really nice just to record those over time and then go back and see these topics. And it really is your daily dose of inspiration, because these people that are on there, you realize that they've been through some hard stuff, but their head's above water.
Yeah. I mean, I know some of the guests that you've had on your previous seasons, and my goodness, I mean, most of everyone that you interview, because you guys really take the time to kind of investigate and learn more about the people that you bring on the show. Everyone you interview is so they have such an empowering story. And that's, when I need my little pick-me-ups, I mean, like, who doesn't during the day? We all need our little
Right.
pick-me-ups. I love going and just, watching your show. I could be at the gym and I've got my earbuds on. I'm just listening as the show is going on because it gives so much inspiration. And I don't think people realize, like, gosh, how much they get from that.
Well, it's one of those things that, and I'm not condemning any other TV or radio out there, but a lot of what we hear sometimes is negative. And so if you think about it, if we're hearing negative, 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 sometimes it's just an overflow of negativity in our life. And I'm not saying that our show is going to be skipping across the rainbow because a lot of these are tough topics. So some of the stuff we cover is really delicate. We're just getting into it, but we always want to give our viewers hope. And also that word of just knowing you're not alone and that you have people cheering for you and knowing that you can get through it is something that I have found a source of just light in my own life. And so hearing these guests come on and share these very, very personal stories, but still like want people to learn through those. That's one of the most beautiful things of the show. And you're right, a lot of work goes into these. We do 13 shows a year on PBS, and I live and breathe these every day of the year. So our seasons, really a lot of work. My team is going through and making sure that we have the best guests for each topic and that we just can spread that light through these shows.
Well, it's easy to see that you do that. I'm a big fan of the show. And so without giving too much away, what other topics can we expect to see this coming season?
Yeah, so we kick things off with Finding Forgiveness. And like I mentioned, we're now in 3 markets, and we've launched on the same week, which is really a big deal. Like, having been not this way before, I'm like so pumped about it because you'll find us in Chicago on Monday nights, Peoria on Tuesday nights, and the Quad Cities on Thursdays, and then repeats during the weekend. And so it's truly exciting. But we kick things off with Finding Forgiveness, and then we go through life, death, and stress. And that's a really interesting show for many reasons. But one of our guests is really talking about how stress just ate away his life and why we have to lower it. We also have a doctor on that kind of backs up how we can live longer by doing certain things by eliminating stress. And it really is amazing because you always hear that, oh, stress, or I'm so stressed, I'm so busy, but why are we living life that way? And so it's really a breakthrough show of like, oh, I can change a few things and add some days to my life. It's really cool. Then we go to Inclusion, Sexual Orientation. And Inclusion is going to be a new series that you see popping up once a year on the Whitney Reynolds Show. And we kick things off with Sexual Orientation. And it's a strong show to see how far we've come. What's really neat about that one is the guests, they're not bitter. So sometimes you interview people that have been treated bad in the past and you find them bitter. But one of the things we investigate is how far we've come. There's still a lot of work left to be done. But this inclusion, when it comes to sexual orientation, we're actually moving the dial forward. And that was a really beautiful thing. So it was one of those shows that was very eye-opening to me and also very heartwarming that the guests weren't mad. Because I think sometimes when we are mistreated, we naturally want to get mad. But these guests are saying, hey, we've come pretty far.
Yeah, we've come a long way. And you know what? What a beautiful thing to think of, too, because a lot of times, I mean, people just get angry in their own lives. And what great inspiration, just regardless of what's happening in your own lives, to go, gosh, you know what? These people, they've been, we've got all these other people that have had all these different challenges, maybe stress, not feeling like they've been included in things, treated horribly. This is time to practice my finding forgiveness.
Absolutely. Yeah, we also do Toxic-Free Living, which was another show that I was like, oh, well, you're telling me that I might be doing X, Y, and Z, which could be adding more toxins to my life. And so that was really interesting. In fact, I was having that conversation with someone the other day about the number one toxic thing that we do. Can you guess what it is?
No. What is it?
Just take one guess.
Okay. Maybe like washing our hands with the soap and stuff, or?
Okay, that's a good guess. But really, it is so simple to eliminate one of the most toxic things. It is taking off our shoes when we come in.
Really? Oh my
I
goodness.
know. I gave these fun facts away, but you learn that on the show. You learn easy ways. You meet a mom that her kids were very, very sick, like hospitalized, and she connected a few dots, and instead of just changing a few ways, she redid her whole home and built it from the ground up, a toxic-free home. And so she's a real example of just changing and overhauling, and now her kids are healthy. So, and then we go to NICU Hope. We're talking about NICU babies and the Jackson Chance Foundation, which they have a fund that helps pay for parking. And who would think that parking is such an expensive cost whenever it comes to hospital stays, but when you're there for more than a week, it adds up fast. And so they're paying for hospital parking for all these NICU babies in honor of Jackson, who is the founder's baby that passed away in the NICU. And so it's just, we walk through his life, how she's honoring it and helping others. And then we end the season with awareness. And this one is one that has been hard to actually work on and process because one of our guests that was on this show passed away, and he made such a mark here. Chef Judson Todd Allen made such a mark here in Chicago and was on there on the show to tell us how to be more aware and how he's done this in his life and how it transformed his life. And so we are dedicating that one in his honor, and it's one that is just rounding out the season and honoring his life.
Yeah, without a doubt. Oh, my goodness. That's so heartfelt. And you know what? I cannot wait to watch all these shows because
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're not where you are yet, so you can't set that DVR, but you can set that online tracker to whitney-reynolds.com on Friday. So this is a very powerful season, and we're gearing up to tape for the fall and for our spring shows. And it is one that as we work every season, I say this, I'm like, the best is literally yet to come, because just when I think I'm like, oh, that one was so good, like here comes the next season. And the thing is, there's this overflowing amount of issues that we all face, and good or bad, we need to talk about so many things. And I wish I could be on like daily. I mean, the bandwidth issue of booking these would take over. But with that, like there's so many things out there that we need to openly talk about and understand that there's people to walk alongside us.
You know, I've always appreciated that about you and your show is you bring a perspective on issues that everyone, like how you're saying, that everyone's dealing with, but you address them in such a way that there's kindness and compassion. And so people don't really, while the issues are there, we're not really focused so much on the issues themselves sometimes, but how we can find solutions to making our lives, and I know you do this with the lives of your viewers, just making that so much better.
Well, it's so true, because sometimes you get, whenever you're taping these shows and working so hard on them, you forget about the viewers that are actually watching them live and the impact it's making. And it never fails whenever I get that email the next morning or the night after it aired, and you have that mother that watched, and seeing that other mother that was in a similar situation on the show, just knowing that she's not alone is really one of those stories. Or the man that writes and says, oh my goodness, now I feel like I can go start that business because I see someone else that, lost it all but had a comeback. And, getting those emails just makes me feel like, okay, we are connecting with people so they know that there is someone out there that hears them and sees them, and they know that we're all going to do life together, and it's better together if we can encourage each other.
Well, and before we go, Whitney, I know you have a book, and I would love for you to share a little bit about your book for our listeners, and then where they can connect with you to pick up that book and also learn more about all the great things going on.
Oh, well, thank you for mentioning the book. The book was my baby that I had this last spring. I have twins at home, and then I have this book. And the book is a guide. It's a 52-week guide of inspiration. So it is basically my most powerful interviews over the last 8 seasons put into paperback form so people can walk along with us weekly and get inspiration. And so what we did is we took some of these topics from the show and we put a new theme with them. So it wasn't the same topic that you saw on the show, but we pulled something else out of it. And so it's literally a weekly guide. I tell people, because people like to do it differently. I understand. I'm not really one to follow the rules all the time. And some people want to read through, like even my husband, he's sitting next to me and he's reading through 5 weeks. And I said, that's really not how it's intended. It's intended to take each theme once a week, read the story, and just kind of marinate on that. Know, like, kind of the theme and see how you can apply it in your own life. And it's become a really beautiful thing. I'm personally doing it, and I'm reliving a lot of these topics. And it's a great way for our viewers in between the shows airing to get a little bit more. And so I am just so excited that we have that book. And you can get it at whitneyreynolds.com/store. If you're in the Chicagoland area or anywhere close, we have a lot of events with the book. I'm actually doing a big Michigan Avenue book signing at Banana Republic, their flagship store. It's called Dressed with Dignity, and it's going to be a night of finding inner beauty and outer beauty. I'm going to be signing the book. Proceeds are going to be going back to Dress for Success. We're going to do a portion of them back to them. And we're going to be looking at fall looks and then also talking about how to shine from the inside out. And so I'm really excited about that. You know, I went on my book tour last spring, and I hit a couple of different states. I saw Oklahoma and Texas, and I think anytime that we do some traveling, we'll set up some and more of these book signings, because this book is really impacting our viewers in a way that they can get involved and see something actually tangible in their own life and apply it.
Well, I've got my copy and absolutely love it, and I highly suggest everyone order their own copy as well, and they can do that on your website, whitneyreynolds.com, whitneyreynolds.com. You know, Whitney, thank you so much, and congratulations. My goodness, I mean, what an exciting venture. I'm so excited that more people get to hear about your new show in bigger markets, and hopefully we can make a bigger wave with that, because I know you will.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We are beyond grateful for WTVP for picking up our show, and we will be launching Tuesdays at 10 p.m. starting October 16th in Peoria. But our new season, don't forget, guys, mark the calendars. It kicks off in Chicago on 10/15. That's a Monday night. We're going to be doing a premiere party here in the hometown. So if you're in Chicago or nearby, let me know, and I'll get you a VIP ticket. And then our new season kicks off that week, so every Friday you can see the shows on whitneyreynolds.com. If you live outside one of our new viewing areas, we still want you to see it, so you can check that out every Friday. And I want you to, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the show and you're a little inspired, I want you to write me and let me know what topic you want to hear, because there's so many out there, and I want to know what everyday people that are just doing life like I do are thinking about, what's going on in their lives, and how we can impact everyone more.
That's so beautiful. You know, Whitney, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today and sharing your special announcement.
Of course. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for giving me a little bit of your time today. And we're so excited for growth and what's to come. Remember, everyone, like I said earlier, in my life and in yours, the best is truly yet to come.
You are so right about that, Whitney, and thank you so much for the reminder and the inspiration. Again, if you want to connect with Whitney, be part of her community, purchase her books, listen to her radio show, or read any of her articles, you can visit whitneyreynolds.com. I highly suggest you become part of her community and join in that daily inspiration. Be part of the change. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.